Welcome, Nomads, to the Nomad Nation Network. I am your host and fellow Nomad, Step Van Rav. This is Nomad News for Sunday, December 8th, 2019. Before we get started, guys, do me a little favor and look right down there and click that little red subscribe button. Be sure to click the little bell right next to it. It'll give you a new notification every single time we upload a new episode of Nomad News. That way you stay in the know when it comes to everything in the Nomad Nation. Now, to our first story. Well, it's not really a story. Just out here in beautiful Quartzsite, Arizona. Beautiful. That's left up to interpretation, I guess. But we are out here, just ended up wrapping up Boondockers Bash yesterday. If you watch my last video, I will card it right up here if you haven't. But if you watch my last video, I was actually coming to you from Parker, Arizona, where I went to the van build. I ended up spending some time in Parker. I had to get my truck registered and get commercial insurance on it, which I plan on doing a video about that because it wasn't the most easiest thing I've ever done in my life. As a matter of fact, it was actually very complicated. But anyway, I got insurance and I got my truck registered. Cost almost $500 to do it, I believe. Yeah, that was a little bite out of my pocket. I was hoping it wouldn't be quite that expensive, but it actually was. So I plan on doing a video discussing that on an episode of Nomad Nation. But here on Nomad News, we're going to be talking about the van build, and we're going to be talking about Boondockers Bash here. I'm not going to bash, wait a second, I'm not going to bash the van build. I think the van build works great for what it is. It just didn't work very well for me, but that's just the way it goes. Wasn't really my cup of tea. My biggest complaint about it's not really a complaint because it's more my fault because I was late. I was 4 days late from the start of the event. Secondly, I did not take Jamie's advice or what he said in his videos and register on the website and pay my fee on the website and put it in a work order on the website, which he said over and over every time he did a video. So I did not follow those directions. So it's nobody's fault but my own because I was not for certain I would be able to make the van build because I was having to work. My boss was sick, so she was actually in the hospital, so it was kind of iffy if I was even going to make it out here. So I didn't want to pay $75 and then not show up and just waste that $75. I'm sure a lot of you, could understand that. So what I ended up doing is once I knew for a fact I was coming this way, I stopped at a bank, I got cash, I paid when I got to the van build the $75 fee, and tried to put my work order in, which again, if you saw my last video, I was told there was no more solar installs coming up. So therefore, I did not get any solar done. But the problem was, for me, is my solar panels are 6 foot by 4 foot. So they literally take up half of my truck and they're sitting right here. So I don't really have much living space except my office right here for the 3.5 weeks to a month now I've been out here. So it's been kind of a pain to do anything in my truck because it's basically full of solar panels and the stuff I brought to install my solar, which is not getting done and is not going to get done while I'm in Arizona. It's going to get done in LA, which I could have just stayed in LA and done my solar install and then come to the Boondockers Bash and had my solar installed. But it is what it is, and that's all I'm going to say about that. I will say, after my experience at the van build, I wasn't too enthused about coming to the Boondockers Bash because of what had went on. Because I just didn't really. It was very the van build was very uneventful for me. Let's just put it that way. So I went on to Parker, Arizona, because, like I said, I had my registration to take care of, and I ended up going directly as soon as the van build ended. I went directly to Parker. I actually think I left van build a couple of days early before it actually ended. And I went directly to Parker, where I stayed at the casino for Thanksgiving, and a bunch of my friends did come in. Scott and Terry from Destination Open Road, the Van Life Sheldons, Mike and Stephanie, they came in from Boondockers Bash here. They went back to Parker to the casino because it was going to rain here and it was going to be a flood, they thought. So everybody moved back. A lot of people moved back to Parker to the casino, the Blue Water Casino, which is where I was. That's where I went. I was just hanging out in Parker and just staying there, and it kind of decided I may not even come to the Bash and drive all the way to Quartzsite, which is about 35 miles, I believe, 40 miles. So I'd kind of just decided, even though Jimmy and Seth, Jimmy for sure, who's one of the creators of the Boondocker Bash here, he had continuously invited me, and I'd originally told people I was coming, and then I decided I wasn't, and then lo and behold, my good friend Paul Barger, the bread trucker, ended up texting me and letting me know that he was coming to the bash. And that day I'd gotten my registration and my insurance in Parker, and I was ready to get on the road, and I decided to come on to the bash. So I've been here about 4 days now, and I want to say it's been the best time I've had. I've had a great time. It's just like it's like another RTR just about. I've had a really good time. I've met several people. I've got neighbors right out my back door. My good friend Paul Barger, the bread trucker, is parked right across from me. We have another friend over here. So just, it's been the camaraderie that I like at these events, and is the reason I come to these events, is there's like-minded people that are living the same lifestyle I am, and it's nice to get around those people from time to time. When I was at the van build, I saw RV Rebel Girl, I saw the Van Life Sheldons, a couple other people maybe, but pretty much it was not very many people that I talked to while I was there for the week and a half, 2 weeks. Now, we'll also say here, I actually met Chris Travels. If anybody knows Chris Travels, I've been watching his videos since like 2008, and it was really a pleasure to meet him. He actually, if you don't know, he's not Chris Travels anymore. He has a channel that's called the OFFGRIDSKOOLIE, and he also has a sub-channel, subsidy channel, a second channel that is, I'm sure most of you in the Nomad community have heard of it or seen tour videos. It's called Tiny Home Tours, and that thing is a monster for the van life community. I think it's got 307,000 subscribers. Chris travels now with the OFFGRIDSKOOLIE. I think he's probably got, I don't know how many subscribers on that channel, but quite a few. So he's very close to, if not making a very nice living on YouTube, which is all of our dreams pretty much. But he's very business minded, and he is always working to support himself. And what I love about Chris is he's very open with his knowledge about things and helping other nomads who are interested in trying to do this full time as well. So I had a great conversation with him. I wish it could have lasted a little longer, but we were kind of out around the campfire at Center Camp. But hopefully I'll get to talk to him again in the near future. So anyway, I have a surprise for you guys. I'm not sure how this is going to work because I've never done it before. Hopefully, if things work out right, we're going to cut the camera off right here. And hopefully when we come back, hopefully I can snap my fingers and we'll have a surprise for you guys. Bye-bye. All right, guys, we are back, and look who we have. For the first time ever in the Snap-on truck, I have a guest on Nomad News.
Hey, guys, what's up? How's it going?
So if you don't know who this guy is, I'm sure everybody does know, but he is the bread trucker on YouTube. He had a viral video that happened, what, 3 months ago now?
Yeah, something like that.
Well over 1 million views. Where are you at now? Pushing 2 million?
It's 1.1 million right now.
Over 1 million views, yeah. So amazing video. If you haven't seen that video, I will try to card it right up here. And it's when Paul, I'll let you explain it. What happened, Paul?
Well, me and my partner Ellie were coming through Oregon. You have to cut through a little corner of Idaho on your way to Washington. We were heading to Canada, and we got pulled over by the Idaho police just over the border, coming through this mountain pass, and I just recorded the entire interaction. So it's a very entertaining video. If you haven't seen the video, one of the reasons it did do so well on YouTube is because how entertaining it was. It was a female cop. I won't give too much of it away. I just want you guys to go check it out. It's a great video, and Paul's got some other things going on. I'm not going to give it away, but he's got something else in the works. So there'll be a new release of a video in just a couple days. That's just gonna. I project it to be another viral video. I think it's just gonna bring the house down. So, I don't know.
I've actually seen the video. Probably was one of the first ones to see the video because he sent me a rough cut of it. And I'm just gonna say Paul's kind of got his own little bread trucker niche now.
Yeah, there's a bit of a partnership going on, an involuntary partnership between me and police officers. So.
But it's financially working out great because he's a legal eagle. So it's just a little bit of time that he's investing. But as far as his YouTube career, It's gangbusters.
It's definitely the videos did well, and people like watching me interact with the cops. And I took a totally different approach on this video, this pullover. So
right.
I don't know. It's totally different from the last one.
Yeah, and it's a good educational thing though for all of us nomads that have to deal with law enforcement. I will say that I was in Parker, which I let you guys know at the beginning of the video, and my tags actually expired on November 30th. Was that the last day? But December 1st, I had expired tags. And I was actually driving around in Parker with expired tags for a few days because I was still trying to iron out my insurance thing. And I ended up having a tribal police officer follow me into a Pizza Hut because I saw him. And as soon as I saw him, I'm like, oh, man, there's a cop. So I just pulled into a parking lot, the Pizza Hut in Parker, if you're familiar with Parker, and parked. And lo and behold, he pulls up right beside me. I'm like, oh, gosh, here we go. What's going on with this? All he wanted to do was talk about my truck and talk about tills. So it all worked out for the best. And he was a really nice guy. So I haven't had any run-ins like Paul has.
Well, you know, just on the way here, down from Northern California here to Quartzsite, 2 times I saw a police officer sitting on the side of the road. As soon as he saw my truck, he flipped his lights on, turned around, came after me, and pulled the guy over just behind me. I really think he was coming after me, and he probably just saw an easier violation on the truck behind me. But this keeps happening, so I don't know what the deal is, but I definitely record all the time when I'm driving.
Yeah, the funny thing was Paul called me out because when I told him about what had happened with the tribal officer in Parker, who couldn't have been a nicer guy. I mean, I'm not really about interacting with police, but he was actually very nice. And the first thing Paul said, well, did you record it? I was like, hell no, I had expired tags. I didn't want to freaking get a ticket. He could have given me a ticket. It was actually kind of funny because we were talking about the Native American, because for those of you who don't know, the city of Parker is actually on an Indian reservation. And so there's a tribal police and then there's regular Parker police. And he didn't tell me that he knew my tags were expired, but he let me know. He's like, hey, man, you can go down to here in Parker and you can go to here in Parker. That's our territory. So the Parker police should not be messing with you. So just stay in that area. I was like, oh, thanks, man. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He didn't realize, I didn't tell him, but what I was doing is my insurance office, the broker I was working with, was right on the other side of the Pizza Hut. So that's what I was trying to do, is get some insurance and get legal, which I am now. Thank goodness. So Paul has also got some other news going on. What's going on, Paul?
Are you talking about merchandise?
No, well,
talking about...
this guy's got a whole bunch of things going on. No, he's got a little, so I've seen his truck, but seeing his truck this time, it's completely different than any time I've ever seen it before.
That's what you're talking about. Okay, yeah.
There's been a major remodel going on, I guess.
We ripped out about 3/4 of the whole bread truck, the interior layout and the back wall, which used to have a residential door on it. And it's a completely different layout now. We switched everything around, and it's just set up so much nicer, just for, I don't know, functional space and usability.
It's set up. So my buddy Paul here, when I met Paul, we were bachelors. So now he's on the other side.
I'm partnered now.
He's partnered up now. Yeah. So he had a bachelor truck, which is the way my truck is set up. It's like a man cave.
My bed was in this exact location, which is right behind the driver's seat. Was a single 30 by 80 size bed, which is like a single bed, but it did pull out into a queen size bed. But it was just really inconvenient,
especially for a couple.
For a couple.
Yeah.
It it kind of required, if one person was in bed, both people had to be in bed because the truck was not usable.
Right.
So it's hard to do your own thing.
And couldn't even go to the restroom if the bed was out.
Yeah.
So you'd have to get up.
Was kind of closed off.
You'd have to get up. Yeah.
Sometimes if I was city camping, I'd have the door closed to the front, so I actually couldn't run up into the cab. The layout's all different now, and there's no more door at the back of the truck. There's no more entrance at the back of the truck. There is an emergency escape, but now the whole entire back wall is a huge window.
It's where they serve me tacos when they're making tacos.
Yeah.
I walk over there and they open the window and they hand me a taco out the back of the window.
The first taco I've ever served out of it.
Paul put in this nice, beautiful window where they just serve you tacos right out of the back of the truck. Look at that.
That's a legit taco right
That's
there,
a legit, and look at that taco. Winning. Which is pretty awesome. So what do you think of the bash so far?
Oh, it was good.
Yeah,
I got here way late.
Way late.
I got
so
here.
me too.
There was only 3 days left of the event, but it was fun. I mean,
The only reason I came
know.
is because Paul said he was coming, because I decided I was going to head back to LA, but then when Paul said he was going to be coming down from Northern California, I was like, okay, I'll bounce over there. It's only like 35 miles.
Yeah.
And hang out with Paul for a few days, and I'm really glad I did.
Yeah, definitely. Now I got to be on the first on location Rav episode.
What do you think of the truck here as far as being a studio once I get it all? It's going to be yeah. My plan is, so this mixer will do 4 mics.
Oh, nice.
So at one point when I get
a whole panel.
Yeah, I have like 2 or 3 people here on the sofa and figuring it all out. It's a little tight, but I think I can do it. Yeah.
Yeah, but just to shoot a segment, or whatever.
What I want to do is I actually want to do more of a podcast format for the other channel.
Joe Rogan
and
style.
Yeah, and have like 4 people here, and then I'm just going to place GoPros with different on each individual person, and then try to have some kind of switcher so I can switch between cameras.
Da Vinci makes one.
Yeah. Well, my buddy Noah's got one, but the one he's got's like $3,000. So I just want like a little, like 2 or 3 cameras, 4 cameras max. So I can switch back and forth between people while I'm running the audio here.
Yeah.
So let's see, what do we have for news? Oh, news. One story that I do want to touch on is, do you know who Roll With It is? No. Okay, so Roll With It is, they were pretty popular YouTubers, and they were a couple, I believe, from like upstate New York, and they were actually some of my favorite YouTubers. But their stuff was very, very high-end produced. Scott's really good at, very much like Wonderbus type videos, but they had a big schoolie that they built out. And I watched them from the day they found their schoolie till they built it out. And then they ended up going across country for like a year or 2 years. And then they ended up in Venice Beach, California, and ended up renting an apartment in Venice. And then I was like, oh no, because when people move to California, everything changes because it's a different lifestyle out there. I went through it, so I get it. And sure enough, Kaylee J, for those of you that watch Scott and Kaylee J from Roll With It, Kaylee J has now left, and her and Scott have been broken up now, and they kept it a secret for, I guess, 2 or 3 months, maybe longer. I'm not sure exactly the date. But Kaylee J just moved to Bozeman, Montana, and Scott stayed in Venice. Wow. And they were, if you've never watched their videos, they're hilarious, because they're just like, they're like kings and queens of van life. They really are, because Scott's got that thick Bronx type New York accent, and he's like, Kaylee J, and she's like, what, Scott? So it was pretty funny, but they have come to the end of the road for their van life. I thought they was going to get another shorter bus, because they had a big bus, and they talked about getting a shorter one, but they are done at, I believe, about 72,000 subscribers. They're walking away from it. Wow. Crazy. I think they're going to try to, do their own little YouTube thing, but I've seen that before.
The big question, who gets to keep the channel?
I think Scott kept the channel, and I think Kaylee J started another channel, but my deal, or what I'm talking about, is I've seen this happen countless times, and then it just fizzles to nothing. I've never seen a couple separate, and the channel continue to thrive. Does that make sense? Yeah. It just dwindles. Like my good friends from Wonderbus is a perfect example. I mean, once they moved to Belize and tried to change just a channel with them too, it just, because people, you build your audience around what people are interested in for what you're interested in. Yeah. And a perfect example is when I watch channels.
Dylan McGaster is another good example of that.
Great example.
What you're going to say?
Well, it's not him, but what I was going to say is I've had a lot of channels, like for instance, like your channel. So this is something to think about. And they change rigs, and I'm invested in. I find them because I like their rig. Yeah. So I'll say, oh, that's a cool rig, and I'll start watching them because I like their rig, and then they sell the rig and change out rigs, and then I'm done with them. Yeah,
that's like you're into step vans, and you like my channel because I have a step van.
That's how I ended up in a step van.
Yeah, it's very, very similar. So if I had a Sprinter, you'd probably be like,
Well, no, what I'm saying is like there was several people that watch my channel that do not watch my channel anymore when I went to the step van because they loved my old Dodge camper. Yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah, totally. And so there'll be a lot of people probably watching this channel because they like the step van, and if I was to change the step van from the Snap-on truck, then they wouldn't be so emotionally invested anymore. Yeah.
But you also have a news component too. So if people are into watching your news coverage, then it would be, if you stop that, it could be a couple things. Yeah. It could be anything. But true. I find that the more like laser focused you are on whatever your subject is, the more focused you can be, the more successful you can be.
That's exactly what Chris Penn from Chris Travels or the OFFGRIDSKOOLIE said the other night.
Yeah.
He said that he basically was spinning his wheels on YouTube until he found a focused niche.
Yeah.
And started building this school bus into this off-grid-schoolie. And then doing the tiny home tours is such a focused niche.
Yeah.
And that's how he got things going.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us in the Nomad community, we just throw out a vlog and we are just Nomad vloggers, and it doesn't always work for all of us, because it never worked for me as a vlogger.
Well, and I think the van life genre is super limited. I mean, there's a very limited number of views that you can get. I mean, maybe that's kind of false now that Janelle came into the picture and took it to this huge other level. But that was kind of an anomaly, and haven't really seen that with any other van lifers to get to that level like that. But I just think the genre is kind of limited as far as...
I think the genre is limited, and I think because of the genre being limited, I also think it's very oversaturated.
For sure.
It's so oversaturated. Yeah. There's so many van lifers
People
now
that tend to do this lifestyle like producing videos and documenting it and stuff like that. So it makes sense that there's way more producers of content than there is not more viewers, but the ratio is less. And
I will say, not to on Scott and Kaylee J from Roll With It, but I will say for myself, one thing that does irritate me when I see these cool little cute couples decide to get out of their apartment or their house or whatever they're doing and come into the van life, go through the of getting a rig, and it's just a short time fad for them.
Yeah.
They don't do it more than 2 years and they're in and done. And there's so many of those. I mean, even my friends Sabrina, they were doing it for 4 years, I guess, but only 2 years on YouTube. Sabrina and Yemi.
Yeah, it's a rocky 2 years.
Yeah, it was. Controversial, but that's what sells.
Well, that's
what I tried to tell them.
That's why I want to move into a Volkswagen.
If they would have had
just like Yemi.
The funny thing is, if they would have had thicker skin and just let it roll off their backs and just welcome the hate or whatever they were getting and just run with it.
Yeah.
I mean, if it would have been me, I would have done because they were always getting accused of doing professional productions and stuff. Dude, I would have got on Craigslist and got some cameramen and everything and had like a BTS with them following you around and just fed into
blow it up,
just fed into the BS.
And that's one thing that I didn't realize would be so intense is the hatred on YouTube and the trolling on YouTube.
It gets. I let it get to me too.
It really gets really intense, and they go overboard. They try to out troll each other, but I really deal with them super well, I think. Maybe I haven't got it on the level that Sabrina and Jimmy have.
Yeah, well, my problem is I just troll them back. I've been trolling them.
I troll back a little bit.
So I just give them shit back. But then the problem is like being honest about it. Like, they can say anything to you, a troll can, and if it doesn't actually apply to you, like, you know what I mean? Like, if there's no insecurities that you have about it, then
they're
it just
gonna
rolls.
Find a weak spot.
But boy, if they say some shit about your beard that you're like, I don't know if my beard's like long enough, and then it just devastates you, even though you don't want it to. You're like, what, but then it just gets in your head.
Yeah.
And so I think for a lot of us that take breaks, that's when I take breaks. When I get the hate gets to me, I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna step away from it. I'm not making any money doing this really, so for me, it's not worth all the BS.
Yeah.
I just step away from it and just
reset. I let people talk freely on my channel. And
I do too. I
just don't get into the comments all that much.
And, I don't really delete any comments. I deleted the very first comments, which was one troll that was talking smack about my other van, saying I was trying to rip people off with a price that's not worth more than $1,500, and I'm like, whatever. How long did it take you to get the new window installed?
We were parked for a couple weeks. We were on a friend's farm
up in towards Sacramento.
Yeah, kind of around there.
All right, guys. Me and Paul just getting hung up in conversation, and my card is pretty much full on this camera, so I'm just gonna wrap this episode up. But I wanted to talk about Paul because he's got some quick news about he's going to be launching his merch store.
Yeah.
How long are we before that thing goes live, you think?
Well, I will be launching it in conjunction with the release of the new video. It will be integrated into my YouTube, so you should be visible on the videos themselves, but you can also find them at teespring.com/breadtruckergear.
Got it. So be sure to check out Paul's channel, The Bread Trucker, on YouTube. Be sure, if you're a fan of Paul's, be sure to check for his merch that's coming up. You're going to have, I looked at his store. It's very professionally done. He spent some money to get it done, to get it designed. It really looks professional. I was really impressed with it. He's going to have t-shirts, mugs, hoodies, there's
tank tops,
all
stickers,
all kinds of Bread Trucker merch on there.
Yeah, all sorts of merchandise. And,
does this look like a meth body?
Yeah. There's going to be some really good shirts on there that are just funny. Some are YouTube themed and based on the video that came out. So, yeah, everybody's been asking for merchandise. I promised the people I would give them merchandise at 10,000 subscribers. I'm at almost 33,000 subscribers at this point, so I'm a little behind, but it's coming out as soon as this video does. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Paul, thank you so much, brother, for stopping by.
Absolutely.
My stepman brother right here.
No problem.
Appreciate you coming by so I could have you on. We're going to let Paul go, and then I'll be right back up to wrap this video up.
Bye, guys.
All right, guys. It was really nice to have my buddy Paul Barger on the show. We're losing our light. I use my back door open here to light the set, I guess you could say, and we're basically losing our light here. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I do want to touch really fast on RTR because today is December the 8th. So I believe RTR starts on January the 8th. We are planning on probably either being here, which is where the Boondockers Bash is, or we may be maybe at back where we were last year. Not for sure yet, but a lot of talk going on out here at the Bash about RTR, which is coming up in exactly 1 month from today. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. It was awesome having my brother from another mother, my step-van brother, Paul Barger, on this episode of Nomad News. And anyway, that's going to do it for this episode, guys. And remember, everything you've ever wanted is sitting right on the other side of fear. Peace.